Imagine if there was a strategy you could learn that would improve your learning in every course and could help you immensely in your future career. There is. It is called active reading. Active reading is so effective, it is almost too good to be true. Stay tuned to see how to learn more through active reading. Whatever you need to read in school or the workplace, the goal is to understand and remember as much of the reading as possible. This is exactly what active reading is designed to help you do. Active reading is simply defined as the act of deeply processing information as you read it. It is designed to help you, number one, gain a deeper understanding of the information. Number two, incorporate the information into your existing knowledge. And number three, remember and retrieve the information when you need it. Okay, how do you actually do active reading? The method that I find the most effective is SAM DAC PET. One of the many reasons I like SAM DAC PET is that it is broken down into the three components of pre-reading SAM, which stands for survey, activate, and make goals. The purpose of these is to get your brain prepared to learn while reading. Then we have during reading DAC, which stands for doodle, analyze, and connect. This is the active part of active reading. It gets you thinking and doing while you are reading. And finally, post-reading, PET, which stands for practice, explain, and test. This is to consolidate your learning and ensure long-term retention of the information. Okay, let's look at each of these steps in detail. We start with the pre-reading. The purpose of surveying is to give you a sense of what the reading will be about. Reading an introduction, the learning outcomes, and/or a summary, if they exist, is a great way to do this. You can also just very quickly skim the content looking for the focus of the reading. For example, look at titles, boldface words, etc. Now that you have a sense of what the reading is about, on a blank piece of paper, write down things that you already know about the topic. By thinking about what you already know, it will be much easier for your brain to build on that existing knowledge. Finally, make goals. In this step, you want to give yourself some goals to achieve while you are reading. These could be questions about the reading, i.e., the things that you want to learn from the reading, or could be goals like learning how to do a specific procedure. Now that your brain is ready to learn, we move on to DAC. DAC is the active part of active reading. It gets you thinking and doing while you are reading. In particular, doodle. That is, take brief notes, make simple drawings, diagrams, flowcharts, timelines, etc. Analyze. Carefully scrutinize what you are reading. For example, assess the logical flow of any arguments. Identify any potential biases that might influence the author's or your perspective. Ask yourself if you are deeply understanding what you are reading. Of course, make sure that you are also achieving the goals you made during SAM. And connect. Connect the new information to your existing knowledge, that information that you wrote down during the activate phase. Active reading should be a fairly slow process. However, by engaging with the material the first time around, it will save you lots of time later. So trust me, it really is worth it. Finally, onto the post-reading PET. Most of this should not be done immediately after reading. This is a over the next few days kind of thing. PET is designed to help you consolidate your learning and to ensure long-term retention of the information. First, we have practice. This can look very different depending on what you are reading. If you have learned procedures, then practice those. If you have learned facts that need to be memorized, then you can use, for example, flashcards. If there are details of arguments that you need to know, have a discussion about it with some of your peers. Next, explain what you have learned in the reading. Explaining it to a peer is great, but you can also explain it to your dog or your pillow. Just the act of trying to explain something helps us see what we know well, what we don't know at all, and what we still need to work on. Finally, test yourself. This could be with a practice test from your instructor or one you make with your peers. A great way to test your knowledge is to close all of your notes, take a blank piece of paper, and write down everything you can. I, of course, also recommend the previously mentioned flashcards and explaining it to someone else. Yes, SAM DAC PET does take some time. However, it is much better to learn a lot from reading 10 pages than to learn little from reading 100 pages. Additionally, you will likely find, as I did, that if you start using SAM DAC PET from the beginning of the course, then it doesn't actually take that much time. This is because it is much easier to learn new material when you have a stronger foundation. Give SAM DAC PET a try. I am sure you will see how much more you are interacting with and learning from your readings. Let me know how it goes in the comments below. To learn more, see these other informative videos. Thank you for watching.